folks, a little bonus here. We have an interview with a dear friend and good colleague of mine, Madi McCool at the NJ Civic Information Consortium. Madi and I have worked together for more than a year now, and I wanted to sort of supplement what we did in the first module with an interview with somebody who has only recently switched over from using Claude in the browser and different LLMs in the browser exclusively to using them in first the desktop app and Claude Code on the web, but now finally making the plunge into using it in the terminal. I struggle to sort of explain and go back in time to when I first set it up, so I thought this would be a really good opportunity to hear from someone who is going through that process right now and is already buried in the types of questions and confusion and new explorations that many of you are probably going through as you take this course. So without further ado, here is a relatively brief breakdown interview with Madi McCool at the New Jersey Civic Information Consortium on how she uses and how she has come to use Claude Code in the CLI. So let's go to Madi.
So I'm the Grants and Communications Manager at the New Jersey Civic Info Consortium. And what that really means is I do everything all the time. And so part of that really means finding the most efficient tools possible so that I can do as much work as possible because we are a small but mighty team. So I handle all the comms and all the admin. So Claude has been super integral in my role in the past few months as I've learned it to really increase my capacity and help me get a lot more work done on a daily basis.
Where did you start using it? Walk me through, you started, obviously, what was your first introduction to AI or LLMs in general? Were you like a super early adopter? Are you skeptical? What was that like? And how did you start, getting used to using it?
Yeah, I started using AI or just general LLMs a few years ago, probably 2022 or 2023 when they first, well, I don't know when they really first hit the scene.
It was November 23rd, 2022, I believe. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2023, you got into it?
Yeah, 2023. So I guess I would be an early adopter. And it really initially helped me with sort of writing and things like that because we push out a lot of content. But eventually it's grown into now where it's helped me recreate our nonprofit's website and things like that, which has been super helpful.
It's interesting because I also early on was testing it out for writing content. And I don't know if you found this the same. I don't use it for that as much anymore because it doesn't stick in my brain the way actually writing it myself does. And also it's almost like more of a hassle to get it to actually be good than just sitting down and dictating to something or writing it out. But I'm most interested in the back office stuff, like the infrastructure stuff that you mentioned. And I know you didn't jump right into that from the get because not many people were. Do you have any coding background? Are you like a software engineer or what's your level of experience with computer stuff like that?
Absolutely no coding background, but I am a quick learner. So I have started to understand how it works, but I am very, very, very much novice at it. And I don't know if I'll ever be a step up above that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I also still feel like a major imposter. Maybe I am, and we'll see how many API keys I expose in the next couple of years. But talk to me about that, because what is so you started, obviously most people obviously started on the web browser and everything, and it was maybe a month or 3 months ago when we sat down and started making a shift, not out of the web browser necessarily, but just using Claude Code with a GitHub account. Can you talk to me what is your understanding of GitHub as somebody who hadn't been super familiar with it? I found it really confusing. It took me a year to sort of feel even mildly comfortable with it at this point. How have you felt, and how has that uptake been for you as you got introduced to it? And what do you find is most different or weird or interesting or surprising about GitHub as a third party in this dance?
Yeah, so I really only use GitHub for what I needed GitHub for. I haven't really explored any more than helping build sites and things like that. Even in my own personal life, I think it'll be helpful with portfolios and things of that nature. But really for the consortium, it's helped me not have to outsource and hire a consultant to build a new website because I thought, I know what I want it to look like. I know what I want it to do. I know what information I want it to have on there. And so I was able to sort of integrate Claude and GitHub together to speak to Claude, which speaks to GitHub, and have them sort of spit out a really cool website for the consortium. I don't know what else GitHub really does, to be completely honest.
No one does actually. No.
Yeah, it's
um,
a mystery.
but so that part though, that last part. So I got the idea that I could make a GitHub account. I refer to it like a Google Drive for code. Massive oversimplification, obviously, and I learn that more and more every day. But for beginners, I feel like that's a helpful sort of paradigm to focus on. But for me, it took me so long to understand how once the code exists, okay, it's on GitHub. How do I get it on my website? What is your understanding, or how did you come to an understanding of that process? And what was it? How did you get there? Like, did you and Claude Code just go back and forth? You just kept asking it. What's your relationship with that process of understanding, and how did you get from where you were to where you are now?
Sure. I mean, we are so used to, I don't want to say we, you and me, but I am so used to seeing things and thinking that, you know, it's just what it is and it's just created like that. But in all honesty, everything we see on our computers is built of code. So putting sort of talking to Claude, which talks to GitHub, and seeing as it goes little things, and I'm reading, and instead of setting it and forgetting it and letting it do the work for me, I'm like absorbing what it's doing as it's going. So I'm seeing all these like letters and symbols and things together, and I'm realizing, oh, like this actually is what makes up everything that we see on our computers, really. Do I know how to speak that language? No, but I know how to sort of understand it, and it's sort of bringing me this easy to understand the process. I don't think I could do it from scratch. I don't think I could do it without Claude or GitHub, but I do think that I have a more understanding of what code really is.
I think
Um,
I liken it to like I can read some Spanish when it's written
yeah,
down, but if you put me in front of a native speaker, I'm gonna be like, see, you know, más o
exactly.
menos. But also at the same time, I do like the idea. So I do like to let it run, but for almost every from 90% of the time that I'm using it, if it's not just like updating some CSS or whatever, and it's really trying to build something new, either a browser extension or some kind of Redis polling to help me, run a cron job or a scheduler or something like that. I do like to read it. And do you use the explanatory output mode? Or we'll get into what your settings and we'll see your setup in a second. But like, when you sit there, because I do the same thing, I'd sit there and I'm trying to read it. Sometimes I'll interrupt, or I'll send a message and say like, what does that mean? Like today there I saw one, it was adding defer, just an HTML command to an href, like a hyperlink. A defer href or href defer, and I'm like, what does that do? And then it finished. It ignored me. It finished what it was doing, and then it was like, now to your question. Actually, it tells it to render the JavaScript after the URL has gotten pulled fully, or after the HTML is loaded. So like, what is your process like that? Are you interrogating it, or are you just sort of watching the stream go by and like writing things down and maybe looking it up later? What's that like?
A little bit of both. I will say I'm not taking a lot of notes or writing things down, but I can always look back on like, the sort of commands that I give it. So sometimes when I want to do something, I'm like, oh, I did something like that last week. Let me see exactly what I said that got me that instead of, taking notes. I probably should take notes. Thanks for pointing that out. That's a good
Well,
idea.
I don't know about taking notes, but I like to like I'll open up another session and say like, go research this term I just heard. Like anytime I hear a new thing, or specifically like security concepts, are I'm always paranoid about being a vibe coder who exposes everything and whole bank accounts drained. So anytime somebody mentions derogatorily, usually on Twitter or something, that
Mhm.
these newbies or these novices are going to be doing this and this, I freak out and I go, Claude, what is this? And can we use this? How do we do this? Whatever.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
and then I also keep a running glossary of terms that I've heard, so that if I want to go back and go do them, I can. But before we get to your setup, because I do want to see how you use it, I want to see like what plugins you have enabled and stuff like that. The jump from the browser to the terminal, or even from the regular chat interface on Claude.ai or ChatGPT.com to the
Mhm.
code part of it. What was the weirdest or hardest thing to like wrap your head around at first? And then we'll start with that, and then I have one more question.
I think initially I just wanted to say in plain English what exactly I wanted it to do, but I realized that eventually it's probably best to say exactly what it understands more than trying to decipher like plain English. So like instead of saying like I have access to my WordPress website, I can say I have the SFTP credentials, just fix it, do that. So like sort of learning over time how to speak its language so that there's less language barrier there has
Hmm,
probably been the number one thing for me. And I've just been able to easily adopt that as I go along. Um,
interesting.
but I'm learning that through watching like, okay, at the end it says, okay, I did this, this is what it means, and sort of gives you that sort of explainer language. I'm like, oh, okay, so next time I don't have to like waste my breath or my fingers typing whatever I think it wants to hear, and
Oh
I'm
my
actually
God.
just
Yeah.
giving it like very direct. Like I'm just cutting the sugar coating
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, no, that's huge. That's exactly why I like try to remember the terms, because now I can be like, instead of spending 20 minutes describing all the different things I want, I just say, hey, help me come up with a PRD for this. And it knows a product requirements document includes all of these sections and subsections. And I think that's something I try to impress on people. Like, your vocabulary becomes your greatest asset with these tools,
Yeah.
because they are like their cheat codes or their magic words,
Mm,
where you can cast spells at this thing. And if you say the spell right, it knows exactly what you want. There's already
mhm,
preformed structures that have been baked into its training data over
mhm,
decades of data that it's scraped, because they're so common, but they're just not known to normies, non-tech normies like us,
mhm.
who aren't embedded in this world. Okay, so then my final question before we see your setup here is, um, did you find the CLI or the terminal scary at first, or what was your reaction to using the terminal now that you've had a little bit of time to mess around with it? What was some things you noticed that were different? I have a whole list of things that I find annoying about it, but overall, I think it outweighs the cons. But what is your first reactions? You're what, maybe a week into using the terminal instead of using like the desktop app? Give me a
Yeah.
compare and contrast reaction between the desktop Claude app, which lets you do Claude Code and everything, and the actual terminal, and how those differ.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I still use both.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just depends on what I need it to do and if I want to squint my eyes at the terminal. Not because the text is small, because it is initially, and I do zoom in, but just because I'm not used to just operating in that way. So I use both. It still is kind of scary. I think I would love to fully 100% adopt the terminal in the day to day, but I'm just not there yet. I'm only a weekend and I'm, proud of myself for at least using it most of the time for the changes I needed to make. So, hey,
So am I. Very proud of you.
yeah.
You say you go back and forth, and that's something that I think a lot of students that are taking this course may not immediately understand. Like when I'm talking to you, because the whole shebang here, I'm sort of renaming it. It's escaping the chat window, basically from chat window to CLI, from the web browser to the command line. But you don't. It's not a all or nothing. And I often use the web version for one-offs or for spin-ups or whatever. I'll go or even go over to AI Studio from Google to spin up a prototype if I don't want to waste my Claude tokens or whatever.
Yeah.
But I personally don't use the Claude desktop app because, frankly, I find it a little buggy a lot.
Mm,
Same with the mobile app. So if I do use it, I on my phone, I'm always on the Claude Code web mobile browser website as opposed to the mobile app. Maybe it's gotten better. I just never went back. But
mm.
like, tell me some of the things of what drives you to go, oh, I need to use the terminal for this, or I'm just going to use the desktop app for this.
Usually it's when it's something that's more complicated. I mean, I think it's more complicated. I don't really know. Maybe I could just use it all, in the desktop. But typically, like if I'm doing for what I'm using it for, like big website changes and making sure that it's communicating with my WordPress site and my GitHub site, and making sure those changes reflect on both sides.
Like across multiple page edits and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, even if it is like across multiple pages, I'll put it in the desktop app because I've never used the web. Like I only just really started with the desktop because I
Mm-hmm.
just like having that app. Um, I'll just basically write everything I need it to do in a Google Doc and then paste it into the Claude desktop. But if it's like pushing things using the SFTP credentials for my WordPress site, I don't know if I trust like the desktop app to do that. Basically, that's just based on our conversations about
Yeah.
it. So I put it in the terminal just because it's almost like the older brother in a sense. Like I think it's just, beefed up more.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have to remind myself that I don't have to overcomplicate it. Like it doesn't have to be scary. And if you have safeguards in place, like with other plugins you have that just sort of let you approve things as you go. Like it doesn't have to be super scary. I was afraid of breaking my website, but I didn't do that. So,
Yeah, it looks good. I should be showing a clip of it right now, a little screen share on the video. When I edit this, I will be showing the beautiful website that you've converted. And I'm going to try to find, I think I may have a screenshot, or maybe Wayback Machine has like a before and after, and we can see the drastic change. Excellent job there. Okay, let's move real quick because we've been going for, I think, almost 20 minutes. I don't want to take up more of your time, but I definitely want to see your setup. So I want to like, if you can share your screen and sort of walk me through any plugins or skills that you found that you like, if you use those at all. Like when you start, do you use the /init to spin up a Claude MD for it? What are some of the like things that you've added to your Claude.md files, things that you've noticed that it does terribly and you have to remind it, so you add it to Claude? Like walk me through some of the things that you rely on most, or that you keep coming back to.
To be honest, I don't actually know if I use plugins. Maybe I have it and it's just there.
All right, so we're starting here. Let's see. This is your desktop app, and you have code selected at the top. You have the NJ Civic Info repository for GitHub linked here. That's the one you're going to be working in. Do you have like a stash or a random GitHub repo that you use when you
I
want to dump
do.
IDs into?
I have a stash. I think it's just called like contraband. No, it's
There
just
you go,
stash.
stash. Yeah, there we go. Do you
Yeah.
ever use plan mode, for instance?
I did in the terminal today actually when I needed it to, well, we did a few weeks ago or last week when I needed it to sort of update the WordPress side of things and just said, let's just enter plan mode and figure this out.
All right, let's see. So you're in the desktop here. Let me see your terminal setup. Let's open the terminal. Let me see what you're going to, if you're still in light mode, we'll see. But yes, you are. Okay. So for those of you who are watching, obviously, the setup I showed you in the module 1 video, it was obviously on Windows. When we set this up for you, I've heard from many people, and on my MacBook Pro, it actually felt a lot less stressful to set it up in the terminal versus what you have to do on Windows sometimes. How was that process for you? Did you feel like that was a lot, or once we got it set up, you were pretty much good to go?
Once we got it set up and I got used to being able to navigate within the terminal, it was pretty easy. I will say sometimes I'll like, well, in the past, as a normie, if you will, I would accidentally open up the terminal. Like, and I was like, what is this? I don't want this here. This is like, oh, I hacked the back end of my MacBook.
Yeah,
I
get the nerd
realized
shit out of
like
here.
everyone actually has access to this. It's really not a big deal. So once I got past the fact that like this wasn't like a high clearance only, use thing, then I was like, oh, okay. It's just like, I don't know, like the
Um,
express lane.
so when you normally open it, do you open the terminal and then type CD, the name of the folder, or are you like right clicking and saying open this in terminal on the like the playground folder I see on your desktop? I assume that's the one you use.
Yes, but typically I'll just like do up and Claude because I really don't use the terminal for anything else.
Oh, so you open it at the root for your MacBook. Interesting. Okay. All righty, cool. And we got you on 4.6 Sonnet. We got a Claude Pro. You're using high effort and you're in accept edits mode. Why don't we do real quick and just say, tell me everything you can about my projects. And while you're typing that, have you accidentally, or have you messed up the copying and pasting into the terminal? That's something I'm always frustrated by.
It's so frustrating.
Trying to copy something out of the terminal is such a pain in the
Yeah.
ass for Windows, and right clicking pastes for some reason. It's definitely something that to get used to.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have some memory files. Very nice. And so what it's doing now is, because she's opened it up at her user folder at the root of her computer, it has access to everything below, everything underneath that root folder. So every, that taxes folder, the screenshots folder, everything there, it's able to access that. And it's found Playground, and it's clearly found that this is where she's doing a lot of her projects. And so it's diving in there now, and it's looking at all the commits, all the GitHub folders and repos that are in that folder on her desktop, and it's trying to put together now a synopsis or an overview of what she's doing. I noticed you haven't moved to dangerously skip permissions yet. Don't
I
worry.
know. I was just gonna ask you. I
I was
need
just
your
say
help with that.
that will come. Don't worry, that'll come. And we see the plan. You have the superpowers plugin. This is something I'm going to push to my students a lot. The plan mode is great, but superpowers takes it to the next level. And we'll do a demo of that process versus the regular plan mode, so you all can see the difference here. Look at it. It's saving useful memories before it's summarizing. So it's learning and it's updating and iterating on its own memory here. I will say that I found in the web version, I almost always turn off whether it's ChatGPT, especially Gemini, or even Claude, the regular chat mode, I usually turn off generate memories from chats because I found that I have a lot of segmentation that I like to work on. And if I'm working on one project, I don't want it pulling in random stuff that it thinks is relevant for my personal projects or my other work projects and saying, oh, this is just like that thing you're doing over here. No, get that out of here. Focus on what we're doing. I'll tell you what to remember. But I do find that in Claude Code, it is much better. The segmentation and compartmentalization seems to be much better, and it doesn't tend to bring that in. I think it's because of the Claude.md, like using files as memory. Okay, big open plan is SFTP deploy plan. You're ready to execute it. Okay, so right. So you've already done this. You've already done that. So we would need to like tell it, we got to update the status here. This is already done, blah, blah, blah. This is great. This is fascinating. Do me a favor and hit / for me. And then let's just go through which commands you have. So you have front end design. I remember we installed a couple of plugins last time we talked. As we go down here, we got Claude and Chrome. I don't know have you used Claude in Chrome yet?
I don't know. I think I've only used the desktop.
No, I mean like that / Chrome command there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's a trip. That's something that's for later, but that's a trip. We'll mention that at some point. So you can change the color, you can clear and everything like that. Do you end up now that we're on the 1 million, token context limit, do you often find yourself compacting when you're done with a session and keep it going, or do you just start a new chat? What do you usually do?
I start a new chat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, same. Okay, awesome. Type plugins for me, or just plugin. Yeah, then hit enter on plugins, and just go to the right to see installed. Let's go down through here. So you have Claude MD management, code review, nice. Context, feature dev, firecrawl, front end design, nice. So you got a good chunk of them. You've got some good ones here. Playground and Playwright, those are excellent. Skill creator and superpowers. That's a solid batch. Honestly, that is a solid batch. Okay, that's great. This is really all I needed. Any final thoughts or word of advice to people who are just sort of dipping their toes in this and aren't really sure if they are ready to make the plunge?
Yeah, I mean, your computer is not going to start smoking in front of you. Like it's okay, and you're not going to break anything as long as you, go in with intention, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
And
if
I
you're
think,
pure of heart, Claude will know that you're pure of heart and it
yes,
won't break your computer and expose your credentials to everybody. I like to take that approach, and it hasn't burned me yet too much yet, but yeah.
exactly.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I will let you know when this is up. Thank you so much. And